if you can give your customers a way to make those changes quickly, you will save so much time on the fulfillment end, on the customer support end, on the lost revenue from the customer, on the return. If you just can give them that quick option, that's going to be killer. One,
We're live. What's
we're
up,
live.
Paxton?
Oh, I shouldn't drink my monster. We'll
You're all
cut
good,
that.
dude.
We'll cut
Monster
that
in
part out.
hand, headset on. He's ready to
It's just
rock.
another day in paradise here at Redo Tech.
That's good, dude. That's good. The wood background, the monster, the headset, it's all screaming that he's ready for an interview. Okay, well, Paxton, we're cycling through. Good to have you back on the series. So it's been probably like 8, 9 weeks, little like about
Hmm.
2 months since the last time we chatted. And I know there's a ton of stuff that you guys are shipping, a lot of stuff that's happening as far as how you're impacting merchants, how people are prepping on the support side for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Got a lot of stuff that I'm excited to chat through today. But first things first, a couple of weeks ago, I had Aaron on, and he was talking about platform, about like the redo record, how everything ties together. And just wanted to ask you from your perspective on how you're putting together your product roadmap and how you're executing on building everything CX related. Um, how are you building things so that it works cohesively with the rest of the products that Redo's building?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one very unique thing about the help desk and the customer service AI, as well as the sales AI, is since it's this communication layer for everything else, it is both a great output of the redo record, as in taking that information, doing something useful with it, but it's also probably one of the most useful inputs. So, kind of before I answer that specifically for my product, one thing that we've actually put a lot of work into is ingesting more of that customer information that we get from that customer communication into the redo record, such that if you're doing marketing or fulfillment or returns, we make sure we offer them the right variant. We upsell them on the right product and all of those other facets. So, one thing that's kind of been interesting is to have brands even connecting the help desk prior to being ready for their team to transition to it, simply to get that data inside. So I think that that's one really interesting thing where we've made a lot of progress is ingesting a lot of that information. On the other hand, I think that it's going to be really important to note how cohesive our new order editing functionality is
Yeah,
across the AI and other systems. I feel like that this is probably the most important thing for everyone to know. Would you not agree?
yeah, it's very exciting. And one of the things that like is kind of one of the easier pieces to see how cross-product things can click and can impact an end user in a way that they're unable to see it happen in other softwares. And so, do you want to dive into that and kind of walk through how that feature works and how it impacts everything like cross-product at Redo?
Yeah, I'd love to. I might even start by just sharing my screen here if that's all right.
Yep, jump in.
Okay, let's do it. Alrighty, you with me in the infinity screen for a second?
We're in it.
Perfect. Okay, so this is baseballism. They use this for a lot of different things, returns, support, namely the sales and CX AI. I'm going to start here on the order editing analytics page. They currently have order editing live exclusively with the AI. What that means is the AI can take specific actions, such as adding products, removing products, adding variants, so on and so forth. And then we're starting to collect that data and provide it in a way that's useful and actionable. So right now that looks like this, simply put, the amount of edited orders, so on and so forth. But what that's going to translate to very quickly, even actually like today, maybe this might be live, is the top products that we see changes on. Why, when, how, where are people doing these things, and where's the revenue that we can either save or drive additional revenue? What products are people adding the most of? So on and so forth. So for the AI, for anyone who's not familiar with that, that manifests either in like the support tool itself, such that people are answering emails and so on, or on the merchant's website, being able to interact with those there. Now, that's just the high level of order editing in AI. The reason why it's so powerful cross platform is how many places it can appear and how we aggregate that information. So I'm actually going to go into the settings here. It's a pretty simple page, but it does tell a bit of a story. So on order editing, we have the flexibility to change a lot of those things. This one simple toggle here for our OMS based users turns our order editing from mediocre for the AI to like one of one. So order management system that we have, if we have that connected on Redo's end as well as the AI, if this toggles on, we can get down as granular as when they print the slip, when they go to fulfill, if they mark something as on hold, like all of those things instantaneously. So there's never a hiccup between your fulfillment team and then the AI making order editing actions. I'll pause there for a second. What questions do you have? Where do you think I should dial in a little bit further on this?
Think just give us an overview on maybe walk us through what that journey could look like. So you're a customer, you go through and you purchase a product, you realize like, oh shoot, I wanted to change this or I needed to tweak this or I wish I would have done something like walk us through what that process looks like and then where it would surface for them to be able to go and make that change.
Yeah. Well, I'll pull up an example, and while I do that, I'll kind of describe the different places it could show up. The first is what I described. If they reach out to customer support in any way, the AI being able to take that. That's less of a visual change, but the instantaneous nature of having the AI be able to accurately do that, especially if you're using the OMS system, enables a lot more repeat purchases, a lot more satisfied customers. We know that there's a lot less chargebacks. All of that's really powerful. The other place it's going to show up is in your order tracking emails. So if you're on the marketing SMS or even just use the order tracking system, the second they get a confirmation email, maybe they forget to do it then, but then, oh, shoot, I sent that to my mom's address. Well, they can change that instantaneously. So that's another great location. And then the third is going to be actually on the checkout page, the thank you page immediately after. And that one's a great upsell opportunity as well, because we allow them to edit their order. And in that time frame, typically if somebody is going to edit their order, that's an order that would have been canceled. And so you're turning a cancellation into either a variant change or, for example, applying a discount code thereafter, all of those different things. So it kind of, you'll see it in the AI in the help desk product, in the marketing and the order tracking product, and then the OMS is going to be powering those actions to be really efficient. And actually, the order editing functionality, at least on the last page and the thank you, is going to be free if you're using any of those. So.
Amazing. So you're saying I could go in, let's say a brand is using Redo Cross product. I want to go buy a shirt. I purchase the shirt. I buy it as a medium and I don't realize it at the time. And then I'm like, I wish I would have got a large. I now have options, right? Either I'm on the confirmation page and I can just change it to a large there immediately. Or if it's like 3 hours later, I've gotten my confirmation email and then I realize there that I was supposed to get a large, I could either do that or I could go to the site and chat in and say, hey, I just bought this medium. I wish it would be a large. If we're synced with the fulfillment through OMS, we're able to instantaneously get feedback on whether that order has been picked, if it's packed, if it's shipped, if the label's purchased. All of that is immediately synced between the fulfillment center and Shopify so that we know if we're still within window to be able to make the edit, then we can make the edit immediately, get it to the warehouse, get the large in instead of the medium. And so then I don't have to worry about getting the wrong size product, having to process a return or an exchange. It's all just done directly, I guess, however I want to do it or wherever I notice the error, right?
Yeah, you're spot on. And the cool thing here is, and this part is in development still, but then we're going to use that order editing information to then feed into the redo record. So then if somebody's returning, if somebody's exchanging items, we can give them a more accurate AI exchange option with that information based off of how they've made order edits in the past. We can dynamically with support be like, hey, it looks like you switch between these two addresses often. Just wanted to confirm that it's this one. So it's actually really, really neat, like the next abstraction of information that we can do rather than having an order editing product that maybe integrates. It's going to be baked into every facet of the customer journey, which is really cool.
Amazing. Amazing. I think, yeah, it's so cool to see things come together. And the way that I remember last time that we spoke, we talked about the like customer experience that you're over, whether you're building stuff that happens pre-purchase, whether it's at the time of the purchase or if it's post-purchase, like customer experience kind of encompasses everything, which it positions your product uniquely versus the way that other GMs at Redo are building. And so having a touch across to everything allows you and what you're building and Redo and what Redo's building to have like a very one-to-one experience with a customer across every piece of the touch point and or across every piece of the journey and make sure that everything feels premium. It feels like you just walked into an online or onto a store and you have a personal shopper with you that's helping you make sure that you have like the ideal experience. And so very cool what you're building. Also talked a lot about last time kind of those experiences through AI and how you're building that. Thus, I guess, is there any other context on that piece that you guys have built out over the past 2 months outside of what we've just gone over with order editing in particular?
Yeah, yeah, really good question. We've built out several different features, which I'll go over very high level and probably not dial into. Some are specific to some industries and not others. But for example, we have a product comparison that allows consumers to see different items, compare on price, fabric, whatever it may be. Then after that point, we have bundling now, such that once they add one thing to the cart, we incentivize them to do another. And with those two features, we actually see a 20 to 30% lift in AOV for customers who engage with the chat versus don't. And so those sorts of things drive a lot of value. Those are applicable to everyone. And then specific to the apparel industry, we now have the try on functionality. It's in beta right now, but you can snap a photo of yourself, see how it look, get a vibe if it works with your outfit, and then move on from there. And I think that I might elaborate a little bit that that's kind of going to be our philosophy moving forward is a lot of people have built a lot of very generic sales agents. And now we're going to move into how do we make, I guess, a professional like account executive where they're really vertical specific. They have skills that are going to make you shine in specifically apparel or specifically jewelry, so on and so forth. That's like the next level on the sales side. So those are kind of three things on the sales side that people can go into their system and turn on today in the back end.
Very cool. I think the like the snap a picture, see how it looks on you is a very cool feature that you guys are building out. Um, can you, I guess, do you have an example that you could show us on how that looks queued up? I
Yeah,
know I'm throwing you on the spot, but if you could show what that looks like, I think that's very cool.
let me see. Yeah, okay. I was able to pull one up pretty quick here. So let me share my
Nice.
screen. Alrighty. We're going to be diving into a Primo Golf here. It's pretty straightforward right now. So I was like, hey, can I see what this would look like on me? And we're actually going to add in some carts and prompts because people won't know to ask that initially on the website. But I upload a photo and I was able to to see this wonderful polo on
Very
me.
good.
And I think I'm mostly colorblind, but I think it matches my pants. So you can see how it would help someone pick out their fit. And then the next layer of this is getting that sizing information. If someone's logged in, helping them already pick out the size that we know that they are, or if they don't know their size, asking a couple more dial-in questions to get us there.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, Paxton. We are what feels like minutes away from Black Friday, Cyber Monday happening, right? Crunch time for pretty much everybody. If you had to give people just a couple pointers or a couple things that they like some non-negotiables the brands have to set up heading into the holiday, CX specific, what give us like three pointers or three non-negotiables that they need to make sure are set up.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say having that order editing functionality is definitely going to be pretty key. And whether that's the Redo or some other system, if you can give your customers a way to make those changes quickly, you will save so much time on the fulfillment end, on the customer support end, on the lost revenue from the customer, on the return. If you just can give them that quick option, that's going to be killer. And I would recommend if you have the availability to do an AI system and however your software setup is, getting that up and running very quickly for the order editing functionality, depending on how granular it can be. That's also going to enable that instantaneous responses. A lot of customers might not find the right button on the thank you page or notice the confirmation when they do email support. Being able to do that instantaneously. This is what's going to prevent you from having to double your workforce with temp workers. So that order editing functionality is one, and then the AI in conjunction with it, but also to help with support is probably number two. I'd say those are my top two.
Love it. Love it. Okay. I'm gonna ask this question every time we meet. But as you look at your product roadmap, you look at the things that this is what gets Paxton out of bed in the morning to come in and build a product. What gets you most excited as you look at what you want to build in the future?
Okay. I mean, it has to be this redo record enabling one-to-one customer experiences that then lead into one-to-one follow-up marketing. The conjunction of those two is where it's like I think we'll see multiples of efficacy in how we're treating customers. And what I mean by that, here's an example. Somebody purchases a tent. We proactively tell them, hey, a lot of people struggle with this zipper. Here's an instructional video. We try to get ahead of that support. Then once they finally have that support, they say thank you. They have a positive experience. We know that customers, I think it's a 42% engagement rate if they've just had a positive customer experience with marketing material thereafter. So then it's like, well, we know that they just bought this tent. We know that they're likely going to be going camping at this time. Let's wait a second for when that occurs. Give them the grill next. It's that sort of like compatibility between marketing and support that I do think is like one of one. And I do think Redo is in one of the best positions to be able to deliver on if we're able to do that well. Or otherwise, for other tools, being able to have something that's very, very thoroughly integrated to be able to provide that experience. But what you'd struggle with is not stepping on each other's toes, doing support at the wrong time, having a marketing message go out while their concern is not resolved yet, that sort of thing. So that's really like I think it makes it better for the customer. It makes it better for the brand. Everyone is happier when those two things can work together. So that's what we're working towards.
Love it. I love it. I think the golden like ticket, what everybody is trying to accomplish is being able to really understand customer needs and what's working and what isn't working, and that fuels how you do everything else in your brand. And a lot of that boils down to support teams and how people are responding to support teams and communicating with support teams. But if there's not a cohesive function on the back end that like ties that feedback into your marketing team or into your sales team or into like whatever else you're doing, then there's often some gold information that just gets lost. And if you're able to tie it all together, like you were talking about, the impact becomes huge because you can now understand like the nitty gritty of what people need in their products or what's next, and being able to surface that in an instant in your marketing campaign without really even thinking about it, right? Because your marketing campaigns that are also running off the Ready record just understand Paxton and what he needs, then that gets very exciting. So I'm on the
Yeah.
same page as you, I think, as I think about 2026 and what we're pushing for, being able to see this one-to-one experience that's done at scale. You take the unscalable, intangible interactions with people and turn it scalable, and it becomes very exciting to see both on like the merchant side and the end user. If I'm an end user and I'm getting that experience, I'm way more hyped to go pay from like buy from this brand because I feel like it's going to be a great experience every time. Great stuff that you're building. Very excited to chat with you 8 weeks from now because the amount that you guys have built in the past 8 weeks is astounding. And so we'll see what happens probably at the beginning of the year and what we're pacing towards, but very exciting stuff. Any last minute thoughts or nuggets of wisdom that you want to share concerning Shopper AI or customer experience before we sign off?
Yeah, I think I'll just like give a little call to action here where if somebody does um, is thinking about doing that order editing, there's layers of implementation that you can do. It's as simple as adding in an app block here on the thank you page and customizing how that looks. If that's what you want. It's a toggle on the AI front. And even if you're not ready to convert help desks or different things, having something on the site, we can either have the widget here or on the PDP. All of those things are going to take 5 to 15 minutes to implement for kind of an outsized impact going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I just wanted to kind of show, not tell, how easy that is. Kind of, I know that Black Friday, Cyber Monday is not typically the time to implement things, but at least those order editing changes are going to be pretty frictionless.
Amazing. Paxton, appreciate the time as always. Great conversation, and we'll chat soon.
Okay, thanks, Brandon.